Chef Aviyah, what's going on?
Give thanks, give
Now I want to
thanks.
say welcome back here. I Never Knew TV at the lab, right?
Yep.
In the States. All right, cool. We want to get right into it, right? And I wanted to ask, why is it important to focus on establishing healthy habits instead of simply following health trends?
All right. So it's important to establish healthy habits so that you have a good groundation on your own instead of following health trends, because a lot of these health trends, they they're just fads. A lot of people aren't researching the fullness of it. So something like let's say a juice fast, right? You have somebody eating McDonald's and fast food and meat and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just do a juice cleanse." They haven't even did the groundation work to stop eating the animal flesh, the fast food, and cleanse their body before they jump to liquid fast. So, studying the foundation of health, wellness, whether it be the nutrition aspect, the herbal aspect, the movement aspect, the spiritual aspect, emotional aspect. When you do that, then you set yourself up for success for later on, taking your own steps, getting to know your own body, what works for you, what doesn't, so that you can, journey to something like a juice cleanse. But yeah, following the trends, right, is not a good thing.
And they're very detrimental, right? The reason I
Yeah.
think they are is that they're very discouraging to people.
Right.
They really go in thinking that like by doing something short term, extremely extreme, is gonna like change their life.
Yeah.
And when they see it doesn't, it really discourages them from actually adopting healthy habits.
Right. So it's detrimental because people want quick results. They want fast results. And so what that does is it doesn't teach you patience and endurance. And you don't embark on the journey of health, because health, you don't just get healthy and stay healthy. Health is something that has to be maintained constantly so you can be on that side. So let's say, okay, you're in your 20s and things are operating a certain way. It's not going to be the same thing in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s. So you have to constantly listen to your temple, see what it needs, see what cleanses it needs, see what nutrients it needs, and go with the flow. When you do when people do fast results and stuff like that, it doesn't last, and then they get discouraged. So,
And you brought up a great point of finding out what works for you.
right.
And like I've experienced this where like you get information from another person.
Right.
I may be able to take an aspect of that information, but I can't apply the whole thing to me because I have a different body, I have a different lifestyle, I have
Right.
a different thing going on. So people really need to identify like what works for them.
Right. I'm a firm believer or knower in people should self-educate themselves with nutrition and listen to their own body. Like, what I need is not what you need. So that you can take knowledge, right, from the elders or take advice from somebody who's on that journey, but now what resonates with you? What does your body need? What is it telling you? So that's just it. Yeah.
Clean blood is crucial for our overall health, right? Especially cardiovascular health. What herbs, roots, and foods can people use to help cleanse their blood naturally?
Okay, so there's a scripture that says the life is in the blood, right? That's always. So if your blood is dirty or not clean or toxic, you're toxic. You're on the sicker side, right? So cleansing the blood, there's so many herbs to cleanse the blood. You have neem, you have sarsaparilla, you have like a lot of root herbs, cheney root, you have oregano oil, you have, so you can put together a herbal mixture to clean out your blood. But it really, here's the thing with herbs, right? yes, they're good to use. So you have to, one, commune with the herbs and say, okay, what I need, and they'll give you what you need. Secondly, you can't eat garbage and then consume herbs. It's a disrespect to the
I'm
herbs.
glad that's what you
Yeah.
brought up that point, because I think that herb use has almost become trendy. I don't know if it's the space that I'm in, but that's what I've been seeing, right?
Yeah.
And there's a disconnect between the utilization of the herbs and what you need to do for them to work. And I
Right.
think people think that I can do whatever I want, eat whatever I want, and as long as I drink this tea, poof, I'm magically going to be this healthy person. I think that's the disconnect with information that people are dealing with, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So herbs have energy, herbs have spirit, and they will not work if your meditation is wrong, right? So you live in a dirty life, right? Why take herbs? You know, they're not going to really work to the fullness if you cleaned up your life. So you can't eat garbage and then consume herbs. You can't speak garbage and then consume herbs. You can't, it just doesn't connect. So herbs are very trendy right now, and I think we're losing sight of the energetic benefits and the spiritual benefits behind the herbs. We're just taking them, just the physical aspect, and that's where people stuck at on this physical plane, but it's so much deeper than that. So cleansing the blood, you have to first clean up what you eat, you know, learn how to extend your fast, or some people say intermediate fasting, but you're just extending the fast from the night. And so drinking bitters, bitterwood, Cersei, all of those things. Even if you did a single herb, like mono herb, I call it mono herbing. If you just take, especially if you're just starting out, you take Cersei, you drink that twice a day, or you take neem and you drink that twice a day, or sarsaparilla or cascara sagrada, whatever herb that resonates with you. And this is the thing: people aren't sitting down, they're not studying, they're not going out in nature or going to the elders or people that know herbs and really soaking it up, being in the presence of it and saying, okay, does this herb resonate with me to take? People are just, oh, let me go on Amazon and buy this herb, and that's not what it's about.
How do unresolved mother daughter wounds impact a woman's relationship with men? And what steps can women take to heal these wounds?
Yes, we did talk about this. So, mommy wound. It's a deep one that both daughter and son have, but we're speaking about daughter. We, from my personal experience, you block it out because in our community, the mother is normally always there, whether she's present with you or not fully. She's just always there. So you kind of block that out. You tell yourself there's no wound there. But the father wound, we can identify that. So the mother wound, the mother not. So if it's a single parent household, right? The mother is not present with you. She's not nurturing you as she would if it was a proper family structure. She's frustrated, yelling, this and that. So as a child, in those tender years, you grow up trying to seek approval, her approval, learning love, thinking love is seeking approval and self-sacrifice. And what I mean by that is, you know, sacrificing your time or maybe your boundaries or whatever to please mom so that she could approve of you and you could receive that attention and nurturing that you've been craving for. So seeking approval to get love and the self-sacrifice, those are just two wounds that could come out of the mother not being present and nurturing. And so, in short, to heal that, some of the work that I've done to heal it is have a conversation with my mom and just saying, hey, like, this is how I felt growing up. And I don't want you to feel guilty about it. But I also want you to know that this is what I experienced, so that you can understand maybe a certain unknown or unspoken distance, so that we could fix it and heal it. And then also just healing yourself, because what can happen is growing up like that and without the father and the mother being there but absent in a way still because she have to work or whatever, that can create a woman wanting to have a family really quickly, right? And kids, so that she can give a child that love. Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because a lot of times when it's usually the main narrative, the word they like to use is the daughter father schism, right? So that creates a,
Right.
they say, young ladies to be more promiscuous.
Right.
But is it just being more promiscuous, or are they looking to have a family structure they didn't have subconsciously?
I feel like
You know, it's like, I
yeah.
know the focus is just on like sex, but is it really just sex, or are they trying to replicate in their mind
Right.
a family environment they never had?
Yeah. I definitely I that could be the case, honestly. And a lot of women are looking for fathers because they never had it. And I was saying that a lot of women rush into these relationships just wanting to get married and have kids because they didn't have that growing up. So now you're just getting with anybody and just trying to make them stay because you want to have a family structure without taking the time out to actually know a person and get to know what mind they have, the man, right? What mind he has before, settling down. So with the promiscuity of a woman, I feel like that does, I think, subconsciously, because that's what controls everything, the subconscious mind. It's not the conscious mind. That's like the projector, but the subconscious mind is what controls everything. So subconsciously, a young woman could be wanting to get that family, and she's just hopping around because she's not getting fulfilled in that way. So
How did your mother wound impact your relationship with men?
just what I said, me wanting to nurture so much a child, you know, making decisions to deal with a person without finding out the mindset, because ultimately this mindset is going to be one, my mindset, and two, a child. So just wanting to rush into marriage to get that so I could give a child the love that I didn't have growing up. So, but I'm working on healing these different wounds, and that's the shadow work that we have to do as women. And I feel like a lot of the anger that women have, not me per se, but a lot of the anger that women have towards men is because they they don't even know who they are by nature. So how can they deal with this masculine figure now when they don't even know themselves? They don't even know how to be a woman, right? So yeah, it's a lot.
And your conversations with women, right? Is it
Yeah,
coming up more and more about their mother wounds and processes that there? Because I've been hearing this conversation more now. I think more women, especially in this generation.
yeah,
I don't know if the previous generation acknowledged it and were in denial about it,
right.
but
I
I'm
think
hearing
so.
more women speak about it now to say, hey, I really had a vibes with my mother, or her
Yeah.
behaviors really impacted me.
Yeah, I just feel like that's what the energy is calling for, to heal that space, because the mother is the center of everything in the house, right? She's the one who nurtures, keeps the house clean, and teaches the children, things like that. So if the mother is off, everything is going to be off in the nation. If the woman is at a lower state, the whole nation is at a lower state. So I know the patriarchy mindset is getting a little riled up, but that's not where we coming from. We coming from a matriarchy system, so just even that is thrown off. But yeah, I feel like it's coming up more, and I feel like doing that work and holding the mother energy responsible and accountable, that's what's gonna help the collective healing to happen. Because we're so hard on the fathers. Granted, yes, because that's the head of household,
Facts.
right? So, but it's a balance, and that accountability and responsibility has to be shared.
And speaking about accountability, right?
Yeah,
The sisters you have spoken to, how have their mothers been receptive to that criticism?
not receptive. Not receptive. So I would say in my own personal, my mother is very receptive to it and things like
I
that.
would give
So
thanks for that. Yeah, that's
yeah, I
good.
do give thanks, and the relationship has just grown beautifully. And so, but other conversations that I've had with women, they don't want to take accountability for it. They like, oh, I fed you, I did this and that. That's maintaining a child. That's not railing a child. Railing is different than maintaining. Maintaining is what you're supposed to do. Food, shelter, raiment. That's what you're supposed to do. But railing a child is different. Nurturing a child is different. And a lot of women these days think by buying them clothes and iPads and having I don't even know what they do with young girls nowadays, but just the maintaining part, they think they substitute that for the nurturing, and they're starving for something else. The children are starving for something else. So, yeah.
All right. We often hear about sisters giving advice that sabotage other sisters' relationships, right? But what about older women giving younger women bad advice that derails their life? How can a younger person identify and seek out elders who provide wise and supportive counsel?
That's a I'm smiling because that's a thing. So you always have women that want to give advice, especially older women that don't have a husband, and they want to give advice, and a lot of the times they're bitter, they're angry at men, right? And so they're giving younger women wrong advice. And then now these young women are carrying out like you see it today. I don't cook, I don't clean, all of this crap. Like, so I would say that women that don't have that experience and can't say, because you do have older women that are maybe their husband deceased or something like that, they can still give good advice. But if you're mid-age and older and you are single and divorced few times and you just hate men and you're bitter, you shouldn't be giving advice because that's not productive. So I would say, and a lot of that anger and bitterness is because they don't want to submit to their own nature, so they can't submit to the masculine. They don't want to respect the indigenous man or the black man, so that's why they single, you know, and so they want to spread that bad apple, and spoil the whole bunch. So the solution would be that I would say for young women is to seek out elder women that actually are married, have experience, have children. You see how their structure is so that they can help. Because there's a scripture in, I think it's Titus, that says, let the elder women teach the younger women how to love their husbands, nurture their children, keep the house, and stuff like that. These bitter women aren't saying that. So any elder that has that experience, for sure.
And I think too, man, because from I hear a man talk, I understand his views on women already, and I understand his experience. Because if it's just one sided and you have this negative thing, or you're not, it's not like you're explaining a situation at the moment, but you have this absolute view of women. I heard all I need to hear, you know. And
Right.
I think the younger people need to open their ears and have discernment on the perspective of the person and get different perspectives. So I can't say I was exposed to a bad marriage and my friend's parents had a bad marriage. I can't go say every marriage is bad now.
Right.
That's what people are doing.
Right. They're taking the few examples and they're branching that off, and now they're saying they don't even want to get married. When that's not what it is. You're going to have bad examples, good examples. That's just polarity. That's what life is about. It's light and dark, good and bad. You're going to have those examples. So my thing is experience it for yourself. Have discernment and say, okay, well, they had a bad marriage. That's them. If you have a close relationship, talk to them and see why so that you could prevent yourself from following the same footsteps. That's how I see it.
And what's the best advice you've got recently from a female elder?
Okay, so the best advice that I got is to be patient. Be patient, listen actively, and meditate more. Yeah, that's the simple best advice that I got recently.
All right, I want to talk about the topic of hygiene, right? Usually when people speak about hygiene, they talk about men, right?
Right.
I want to focus on women.
That's true.
So, all right, what are some practical tips women can use to improve the hygiene of both their body and mind?
All right, so let's start with the mind, right? So the mind has to be cleansed from modern thinking. And I would say that women have to submit to their nature, and that when you submit to your own nature, you'll be able to dwell around the other half, right? The masculine. So we deal with generational trauma, and then we have our own trauma, right? So I would say cleansing that first, and a lot of trauma is stored in the womb, hip area, and cleansing your heart space. So once you do that, then the other work starts, the physical part. But definitely making sure that you connect with nature, making sure that you meditate, making sure that you moving your body, whether that be yoga or dance, feminine things that promote femininity. And so that's where to start there. So your spiritual hygiene, if you will, making sure you praying, you fasting, and then I would say physically now, what you consume. So making sure that you're consuming whole foods, no junk foods, processed foods, fast foods, fried foods like that. Cutting all of that out so that your pH balance could be balanced. Could pH could be balanced. A lot of women sometimes smell a certain way and they're like, oh, why my underarms smell like that? Why other places smell like that is because the way you consume. And consumption doesn't stop at food. It also is what you watch, what you listen to, the people that you're around. All of that plays a part in your hygiene, physically and spiritually. So I would say just start with stripping yourself from all modern mindsets that they have out here to destroy us, and tap back into your ancestry or antiquity, and start from there.
And is there a cleansing routine you would recommend to young sisters, a physical for the physical body, like a cleansing routine to maintain their hygiene?
Definitely. So I was saying to you before that, one, we have to learn the actual lunar cycle, which we're in a Gregorian cycle, which has us off and disconnected. And so we following the moon, right? So the moon, the full moon is the new moon, which is the new month. Moon means month, and 28 days. a woman's cycle is 28 days. So that means 13 months in 1 year, right? So that's another topic, but just getting into that alone. So now you get to understand that, okay, each week I'm going through a different phase. So you have to do certain things within the phases that you go through. And I call them seasons. So we go through winter, uh, spring, fall, summer. We go through that every month. So cleansing routine, I would say drinking herbs like raspberry leaf, red raspberry leaf, red clover, which is a full body tonic. Things like dandelion and black cohosh, or these things just to regulate your system, clean it out. But definitely, I'm one to promote self-education. So self-education is it. Sometimes you can't always depend on outside sources to learn.
Many people use herbs by smoking them, right? And just getting a high vibe. What are some
Right.
healthier ways to use herbs that promote wellness instead of only recreation?
Right. So okay, recreational use. Let's talk about the main one that everybody knows, marijuana, right? So it's been demonized and it shouldn't be. I won't mention the people who demonized it, right? Because there are various people, groups of people. But it's a herb that the Most High created. And so how do we use it? We have to connect to the plant to see what it's good for. A lot of people use it for recreational use, but for smoking, right, to get high. For me, marijuana is to be present, like ultimately present with self and your environment, and to connect in a different way, to open up your heavens to receive, whether that be downloads or whatever information to connect with your ancestors, right? So, and put you in alignment certain way and deep meditation. So there's ways to utilize it without smoking it. You can do tinctures, you can do oil, you can do tea. Same as with hemp. There's topical. You can use THC for topical use too, just like you use the hemp plant. So it's you know other drugs now, because marijuana is not a drug. Don't take drugs, right? Because what are you chasing? A lot of people want to escape their reality because they can't deal with it, and that's a cop out. You have to learn how to sit, be still, and release whatever you got going on that you think is so hard that you want to take a drug to escape. So that's
That's my biggest thing with the herb for a lot of people is that,
yeah.
and I've been there. I use it as a means of escape, and it's just like I think accepting the reality and releasing what you can release,
Right.
and accept what you can't at that moment.
Right.
And I think that needs to be the practice instead of, because there's no productivity when you're constantly escaping.
Right. And a lot of people don't know how to be present anymore. Thinking about the future too much gives you anxiety. Thinking about the past so much gives you depression. We're leaving the present moment. We're not here. And that happens in just somebody being single. That happens in relationships. People aren't present. And so we just have to learn how to be ultimately present. And marijuana can help as a tool to help you reach that presentness, but it also lets you know, like, this is inside of you. Like, whatever you're reaching with me, you can access it without me. I'm just a tool for it. And that's just a deeper level of, you know, self mastery and stuff that people can get to. All right. So a lot of people nowadays are compulsive, and it comes from these subconscious programs. And I was meditating on sin, right, to look at it from a different perspective. And some common sin like fornication, just sleeping with people, that comes from a lack of love, right? So if you incorporate self-love and what that really is, then you wouldn't do it.
Cool off.
Right. You have gluttony, you have greed. That's coming from a lack of something, right? So the greed part, like I was saying, like, well, what is greed? You feel like you're lacking somewhere energetically, so now you're just greedy because you think that you're not gonna have nothing, so you just wanna. So all of these sins, right? The seven deadly sins or whatever, try to look at it instead of shaming yourself, because we're good at that, shaming and self-sabotage and this and that, but look at it from a different perspective to see what you're lacking that's causing that thought process, which is causing an action, and look at it differently instead of shaming or listening to people that are shaming you and can point the finger, but they can't actually help you come out of that frequency. So
Seriously.
yeah.